Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And of course, a story that continues to grow is all over concerning the Russia collusion and during the first term of President Trump. And then just recently, an amazing amount of documents were found inside the FBI. What does all this mean? Well, let's check it out. I'm so honored to have back with us today Mark Tapson. He's a fellow there at the Popular Culture at the Horowitz Freedom Center. He's also the host of the original podcast Front Page and The Right Take with Mark Tapson. And you can go to truthrevolt.org is their website, truthrevolt.org. Mark, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Harry, thanks for having me back. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, boy, there's a lot going on. Okay, so how significant is this find of a trove of documents, supposedly classified, in a highly secured room marked for the burn pile that was really mean a shredder? What's your take?
I'm not sure whether it's comical or alarming or maybe both, that there are what are called burn bags lying around in the White House. It sounds like something I might have at my house maybe, but not at the White House. Yeah, these declassified documents, I mean, for any of your listeners who may not be caught up with all this, a week or so ago, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, released, initially anyway, 114 pages of declassified documents from the intelligence community, proving beyond a doubt the existence of manufactured and politicized intelligence on the Russia hoax of 2016. She said, she alleged that former President Barack Obama directed what she called a treasonous conspiracy against the duly elected President Trump. And she correctly called it an egregious abuse of power and a blatant rejection of our Constitution. Now, this came as no surprise to conservatives who had known all along that the Russia collusion hoax was exactly that, a hoax. But it's been pretty eye-opening, maybe even shocking to some people, to learn that there is documented evidence that this was all at the instigation of Barack Obama himself, and that a who's who of the deep state was fully complicit in this. And Tulsi Gabbard has since presented those findings to the Department of Justice for investigation, and she is referring Obama for prosecution for treason. So it is a pretty big deal.
Do you have any idea why what she has would be different from what they found in these bags?
Yeah, that's a good point. What she found was essentially it was a number of things. First of all, she found documented evidence that this all points to Barack Obama. I mean, the revelations in these emails refer to the president's instigation, the president's orders. So these documents link it to Barack Obama himself directly. So that's really the major revelation. It wasn't just, a shadowy deep state that may have been operating independently of the president at the time. It was at his orders and his instigation, because essentially what happened was when Donald Trump won the election in 2016, the Democrat Party was completely rocked on its heels. He was not expected to win, or certainly not by the Democrats. He wasn't supposed to win, and when he did win, the Democrats essentially freaked out and got desperate. And so on December 8th or 9th of 2016, I can't remember which now, 2016, Obama met with the who's who of the deep state, Secretary of State John Kerry, Susan Rice, John Brennan, John Clapper, Andrew McCabe, all of these major agency heads, including Loretta Lynch from the Department of Justice. And he directed these agency chiefs, which we now have documented evidence of, to fabricate allegations about Trump in a covert effort to undermine the Trump presidency. So that's now documented fact, and that's really the big revelation from these declassified documents.
Okay, just the handling, Mark, of classified documents. I just want to make a few things clear. Obviously, these classified documents that Secretary Tulsi Gabbard has that became declassified for public consumption, then you go over to the FBI and there's a room full of classified documents that were heading towards the shredder. Is that misconduct? I mean, since when do we do this?
Well, yeah, when you have highly classified intelligence documents, you've got to take very special care of those and make sure that they remain highly classified. You can't have them just lying around willy-nilly or helter-skelter. And it's not a good idea to have them just in burn bags waiting to be disposed of. Somebody's got to have some kind of there's some kind of very precise security protocol for taking care of these things and for keeping these things. I mean, remember how the Democrat Party went after Donald Trump for supposedly leaving classified documents lying around Mar-a-Lago and other places. And meanwhile, President at the time, Joe Biden, had a lot of classified documents just stashed in his garage. So it's kind of alarming that we have all these top secret, highly classified documents just being handled carelessly and stored carelessly. That seems, I'm sure that's got to be against some law.
Yeah. Okay, so wow. So back to the case itself. What do you think the administration was trying to do in creating this collusion? It was between the time that President Trump was elected. He was now president-elect. President Obama is still president. He's going to be sworn in a couple of weeks later after the infamous December 9th meeting in the White House where President Obama supposedly ordered all this. What were they trying to accomplish? To damage him before he got inaugurated, or just ruin it so bad that he couldn't govern?
A little of both. Whatever they could manage. I mean, as I mentioned before, when Donald Trump won the election, it was quite a shock to the Democrat Party. Up to that point, the deep state had been they'd been researching whether or not there were ways that they could undermine the Trump campaign. So, for example, in September of 2016, the CIA and the FBI were reporting, they were looking into the possibility that Russia might be trying to influence the election. And they were reporting at that time that Russia had taken no steps to penetrate U.S. election systems or to manipulate public opinion in favor of one candidate or another. What little the Russians had done, such as a kind of an impotent social media campaign to discredit both candidates, that was similar to what they had always done at U.S. election time, which was try to pit Americans against each other. But not only did Russia not try to sway the election for Trump, they actually wanted Hillary to win because they thought she was more susceptible to blackmail. But in any case, up to that point, there was no evidence of Russian collusion with Trump. But after Trump won, that wasn't enough for Barack Obama. He ordered these agency chiefs. He had this meeting, as I mentioned earlier, and ordered these agency chiefs to come up with something linking Russian influence to the election. And excuse me again, frog in my throat. And Mark Levin at the time called this effort a silent coup by the Obama administration. It kicked off years of the Mueller investigations, as you will recall, and impeachment proceedings against the president, not to mention tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars wasted and lives destroyed along the way. It's arguably the biggest scandal in American political history. And it exposes the fact that the less beloved Messiah, whom they always claimed was scandal-free, Barack Obama, during his administration, was the man behind the curtain directing all this chaos, and he himself was the threat to democracy that they always claim Donald Trump was. But yeah, their goal was not so much to convict Trump of anything, but basically just to undermine and subvert the legitimacy of his presidency.
Okay. All right, now that they've been exposed, let me jump ahead to come back. I don't suspect that President Obama will be convicted of anything, but he could have his legacy absolutely ruined by this. But what about the Clappers and the Brennans and the McCabe's and the Rices and and the Comeys and the Schiffs, are they all acceptable?
You know, I don't think conservatives should get their hopes up at all about any convictions coming out of this. Certainly not Barack Obama. I mean, it's very rare for anyone in Washington, D.C. to actually be held legally accountable for anything they've done, no matter how serious. And as serious as this is, I don't think, I would actually be surprised if indictments even come along. But if they do, I don't think they're going to result in any convictions. Certainly not of Barack Obama, but possibly, and maybe hopefully, maybe there will be someone they will toss out as a scapegoat or as a throw a bone to the Conservative Party or throw a bone to this whole process. And I'm hoping that'll be John Brennan, because Brennan is really just one of, if not the most egregious members of the deep state, who was so heavily involved in this whole process. I'll be surprised if even Brennan gets convicted. I mean, he not only knew that this bogus Steele dossier was bogus and that it was illegally used to obtain warrants to spy on the Trump campaign, but he was also one of its most ardent advocates. He falsely claimed that the Russians successfully hacked Democrat National Committee computer servers. He made sure that lies about Russian intelligence and collusion with the Trump administration were leaked to the media. He is so deeply implicated in this whole process that I hope it's Brennan, if anyone, who gets convicted. But again, I'm not optimistic about that. But as you alluded to, the one thing that conservatives can cling to and hope for is that the truth will be out there, and the truth will undermine Obama's legacy, and hopefully historians will treat this, or at least some historians will treat this truthfully, so that the truth remains out there, and it will severely damage, I think, Obama's previously presumed spotless legacy.
I guess where I struggle with that is, I understand conservatives are salivating for something to come of this that's very substantive. I get that, okay?
Yeah.
But really what's at stake here is the rule of law and treason. And that's far beyond party politics.
Yes.
And I'm trying to think here, are we saying, oh, well, these are high-powered people in Washington and it's not going to go anywhere? We could almost adopt the opinion, why bother?
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned that that the fatigue factor of this story is so high in America, people just don't want to deal with it. But think about what's at stake here if we don't.
I completely agree, Perry. I mean, that's exactly the right attitude. It is above party politics, or at least it should be. It's hard for anything these days to actually, be above the incredible party polarization that we're suffering these days, but it should be something that unites all Americans, that all Americans should be concerned about. And even Democrats should be shocked and concerned about these revelations. But of course, they're not, or at least the Democrat leadership is just, they continue to be in denial about it and to claim that this is all just false. But yeah, it's something it's really concerning, and it goes to the heart of democracy, which the left is always crowing about. They're always crowing about saving democracy from Trump's purported fascism. Well, here's an instance where, democracy is seriously at threat, and as Americans, we should all address this. I hate to be pessimistic or cynical and say that I don't think convictions are going to come of it, but unfortunately, I think that's probably the reality. I hope I'm proven wrong.
Okay. Let me take a quick break. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out Mark's website, and that's truthrevolt.org. There's a picture of the landing page, very, very resourceful. And check out his podcast there, front page, the Right Take with Mark Tapson. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and honored to have back with us today Mark Tapson. He's a fellow on popular culture at the Horowitz Freedom Center. He's also the host of the original podcast on Front Page, The Right Take with Mark Tapson. And then go to the website truthrevolt.org, truthrevolt.org. Continuing to talk about the unraveling of Russiagate. Some people call it Obamagate. I don't know what name we're going to give it these days. Let me ask you this, Mark. As serious as the original issue is, there's some sideline issues. What about lying to Congress on perjury by these people?
Well, there was a lot of that going on. The whole Russiagate scandal was a giant lie, which the media was complicit in. And there are serious crimes involved here. As I said earlier, I'm skeptical that anyone's going to be convicted of it. I think the most we can hope for, though, is, again, that the truth will be out there and that some of these Democrat politicians will be exposed as the liars that they are, whether or not they get convicted. Adam Schiff, for example, lied repeatedly to Congress, repeatedly spread the lie in the media that he had seen damning evidence of Trump complicity with Russia, evidence that never materialized because it never existed. So, yeah, there are serious crimes going on or that went on in this process from Democrat leadership. I think the American people have to do their utmost to make sure that their political leaders hold these people accountable as much as possible, and then we just have to hope for the best.
Okay. Long term, if this isn't dealt with genuine justice, what have we done to our country?
Serious damage. I mean, I think one of the upshots of these revelations is that it's the Democrat Party that is the true threat to democracy these days. The left has smeared the right for years as election deniers, conspiracy theorists, threats to democracy, but it's demonstrable fact now that this is all projection. The left is always guilty of that of which they accuse their opponents. So all these so-called conspiracy theories we've been accused of for years have all turned out to be true, while it's the Democrats who have promoted conspiracy theories in order to demonize their opponents. Meanwhile, it's the Democrats who have denied every Republican election in the last 25 years, including Trump's most recent victory. It's the left that is the threat to democracy in this kind of power-mad pursuit of one-party hegemony. So that's one serious revelation that I think is damaging to our country, is that we've got an entire party, or at least leadership. I'm certainly not trying to pin this on every Democrat. I used to be a Democrat, and I know that there are many out there who just have not had their eyes opened yet. But the Democrat leadership certainly is proving that it's a party that is far left. It's out of touch with ordinary Americans. And unless that far left element is reined in, the country is just going to face more damage down the line. The political polarization in this country is just almost unbridgeable, unrepairable. And so we're at a tipping point where democracy really is on the line, only not the way that the left always claims that it is.
Yeah, I guess my brain's on tilt that as serious as this is, the fatigue factor, to your point, is certainly a big factor in all this. Can and will America ride this through again? But do you think they'll at least go to hearings within Congress?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll certainly go that far. And it's possible that even indictments will be brought up. And I think, though, that eventually everything will sort of run out of steam in one way or another without convictions, unless, as I suggested earlier, maybe one or two of the deep state members might be thrown out there as a bone, and we may get some lower level convictions. That would be nice, but it would be a step toward justice. I guess, again, I think the main thing people have to cling to at this point is the fact that the truth is now getting out there. And hopefully Americans will do the right thing themselves with that truth.
There's a couple of other things seemingly here. Slowly, it looks like credibility is returning to the FBI, CIA. I mean, the takeover of the administration is cleaning it up. A lot of people are going out the back door. I get all that.
Yeah.
There could be another casualty. It's an interesting one. And that is, we are watching the demise of legacy media in America. I mean, this is an amazing thing because they were complicit. In fact, if anything, they were the main water carriers of this mess.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, their ratings are dropping, their shows are being dropped, they're shooting at each other. I mean, what's your take?
Yeah, no doubt the mainstream media has done more than shot itself in the foot recently. They've shot themselves in the head. Over the last maybe 10 years or so, media credibility has just plunged dramatically. I'd say that the mainstream media is on life support at this point, if that. Everyone has gone now to social media to search for breaking news, and of course, that presents its own problems in terms of people trying to sift out what's true and what's not, and what's credible and what's not. But people have essentially abandoned the mainstream media unless you are on the left and you still believe that the mainstream media has some kind of credibility. But overall, Americans just do not look to the mainstream media anymore for any kind of truth or credibility. People are now learning to seek it out themselves, which I think is a good thing to some extent. You have to just be you have to use some wisdom and discernment in terms of sifting through social media to get what's true and what's not.
Yeah.
But at least people are taking an active part in seeking out the truth, as opposed to just swallowing the mainstream media messaging, which is in the toilet now.
So the fact of the matter is, and this sounds political, it's not, but it's a fact. Mm-hmm. The media, the legacy media, really colluded to go after this president and ruin him at every turn. And yet, the moment the term fake media was adopted, he's basically unwound them. I mean, he's got them on the defense, not himself.
Yeah, well, Trump did a lot to turn this attitude toward the media around. I mean, he exposed, just by running for president, he exposed that the media was completely in the tank for the Barack Obama administration, and that they were essentially serving as a state media for the left. So Trump's presence on the political stage has done more than probably any single thing to highlight media bias and to expose it. And he continues to do that.
Yeah.
It's been amazing the effect that he's had on the culture in many ways. But that's certainly one thing. Trump has almost single-handedly driven the left-wing media so crazy, and so it has them so frustrated that they just their blatant bias is just that, blatant.
Okay, a couple of minutes here left, but it seems to me, isn't it interesting that against all odds, Russiagate and all that, the president wins his first term. Then comes the 2020 election, and he loses to Biden, and we all know that that was just crazy. But he had 4 years to rethink about how government operates and how he was going to govern, and he comes back, and against all odds, including a couple of assassination attempts, he wins again. The hardest part about all this is the left is having a hard time swallowing the fact that America elected him with a mandate. You almost have to think some of this is providential.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and I think Trump even referred to that after the assassination attempt where he was clipped with the bullet in the ear. He even feels that way, that it's providential. I think, this country has disappointed God in so many ways over the last few decades that I wouldn't blame God if he gave up on us altogether. But he has not, and I think we're beginning to see the hand of providence in the Trump administration, and in the fact that the right has the momentum now, and not just politically, but culturally. And that's an ocean liner I thought would be way more difficult to turn around. But we've got the momentum now, and it's hard not to feel like God's hand is in all of this.
Okay, so let me say to folks, check out Mark's website, truthrevolt.org. That's the website. There's the picture of the landing page. A lot more to talk about. I want to come back and talk more things about you, but or with you. Check out his podcast on front page, The Right Take, with Mark Tapson, and check that out. Mark, as always, thank you for your time, sir. We value it greatly. Let's stay connected.
Let's do, Perry. Thanks very much.
Okay, see you later.